Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Summer and this is Slide Design. And today we're going to be working on this seashell that has flowers engraved in the entire thing. I found this mold at Michael's. I think they still have it. They also had a moon with flowers. And there might have been one other one, but I'm not sure if I remember what that was. If I see them online, I will link them in the description below. Well, I was wondering for a while, can I paint a mold with actual paint? So this is what this experiment is going to be. So let me go grab my paints and my water, and I'll come right back. Here is my water, and now I have to decide what kind of paints I want to use for this mold. Now I have very cheap paints. These are called Apple Barrel, and you can find them on Amazon, and I also think Walmart sells them. They come in all kinds of colors. I use them for painting my statues and my mom's fence art, and then what I do is afterwards I spray them with a sealer. Now we are surrounding the mold with paint bottles, so it has no choice but to submit to being painted. It cannot escape the paint bottle wall that will surround. Witness how the mold is cowering in fear. The mold does not know what lies in its future, but I can assure you no molds were hurt in the process of this video. Behold the terrifying castle wall of color. I am going to use this Christmas green on some of the leaves. I am also going to use some of this spring green on some of the leaves. This pink will be used on some of the flowers. This petunia purple will be used on some of the flowers. We also have a royal violet for some of the flowers. I ended up not using the cobalt blue. I thought it was too dark. I did use the lighter blue on the small flowers. And we also have red and yellow. Yellow I used on some of the flowers, and I also used it on the middles of the little itty bitty flowers. Here is my paint palette of dew. And these do need shaken up before use. I'm going to start painting the mold with the darker green. I don't know who thought that it'd be a good idea to put flowers on a seashell, but I think it's a bit weird. But weird is okay, because I'm weird. I decided to paint the leaves in a stripy way, so that way you'd have the darker and then the lighter in between. I think it turned out looking pretty good that way. Now, I'm not the typical girly who decorates her house with floral. This isn't really something that I would like for myself, which is, I'm just trying to figure out why I bought the shell instead of buying the moon. But I guess maybe I didn't know what to use the moon for. But I might have to go back and get the moon because this turned out pretty cool. Oh, you know what? I do remember what the other one was. The other one was a butterfly. Now, when I started painting this, I realized that you can't just brush the paint on because it separates from itself. So what you kind of have to do is you glob the paint into a section until it's full and you don't see it separating anymore. Kind of like when you don't have enough resin on top of something and you'll start to get those like fish eyes. You have to make sure you get enough paint in there. Now, I'm not really sure what this mold is meant to be used for. It doesn't have any edges on it, so I wouldn't think you could use it as a tray. But if you demolded it while it was still bendy, you could make it a nice bowl. I think that would look pretty cool. Also, I thought that maybe you could use it as a topper for a wind chime. Drill some holes in it, have the chimes come down from it, so that way when you look up at the chimes you see all the flowers underneath. Now I'm finished with all the green leaves, and I should not have been picking the mold up like this. The green turned out fine because it's still wet, but I painted this over several days, and some of it was already dry, and I was picking it up, and the paint was separating from the mold, the dry paint. You couldn't really tell visually, but when I poured the white resin, some of it seeped beneath the painted areas, and you can tell in the finished piece. So what I should have done is grab the camera, brought it down, did a little close-up after every step, and then put the camera back where, it usually sits. If I painted this mold again, I would probably try and make some more detailed areas in the flowers, like use different shades of the same color and make it more, I don't know, alive, more realistic. I might try it again doing this and see what my results are, see if I still have the paint going underneath, or not the paint, the resin going underneath paint. And I'm really getting used to DaVinci now, so now I know how to zoom in, and I can even rotate the picture to show you better angles and stuff, and it's just, it amazes me that I can figure this stuff out on my own. My husband tells me I don't give myself enough credit and that I'm smarter than I think I am, which, I mean, I might be, I don't know. I just don't always feel like it. Sometimes I get so frustrated with technology, like during the editing of this video. My mic just stopped working for no reason. Like, I had it plugged in, I was voiceovering the first part of the video, and then it just decided, we're not going to work. So I tried a couple things, couldn't figure it out, and he had to come in. He unplugged the USB and then plugged it back in, and all of a sudden it's working. So, I don't know. If I didn't have him around, I'd probably be in trouble when it comes to stuff like this. I mean, it would probably have taken me a long time to figure that out. I'm really loving this just with that little bit of green and the blue and the white flowers. I could just do the whole thing in blue and white and I would be so happy because blue's my favorite color. That's just a me thing. Now, with some of these colors, I thought I had enough on the mold, but in in the demolded piece, you can see like almost like places where there wasn't enough paint. I'll show you at the end. So that means I should have globbed some more in those areas. Now, this pink, when I have used it to paint my mom's statues, and well, actually I don't think I've used it on a statue, but when I used it on her dragonflies on her fence, the pink completely faded away, like completely. It also did it on a watering can I painted. And basically what I mean is, like, it was pink and then it faded until it just looked white because of the primer I use is white. So all the pink faded away. I don't know if it's just this paint because it's very cheap paint, or if it's just pink in general. The red didn't do that, just the pink. So it really is confusing. So what I plan on doing when I finish this, I am going to put it outside, and I'm going to see if that pink fades in this also. Let me know in the comments what your favorite craft is, or type of craft. It doesn't have to be resin. You could like painting, knitting, cross stitch, latch hook, sculpting, just whatever it is, let me know. Maybe even share some pics or something of stuff you've done. I don't know, can you put pics in the comments? I'm not sure. That's something I'll have to find out. Also, if you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe. I appreciate everything that you guys can do for me as far as getting my videos out. I want to build a community. I want to have people to talk to. I want people's opinions on things. I want to be able to ask my viewers, hey, what should I do with this mold? And then you tell me and I'll do it. And then we'll see what it turns out like. That's kind of what I want to do here. I don't think people understand how much has to go into making your art and selling it. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna make something and then sell it. No, you have to have a place to sell it. You have to have a website, or you have to have a fair to go to. Unless you have a lot of family and friends who are willing to buy things from you, that would be great if you got that, but I don't really think I have that, or I don't know, maybe if I posted my stuff on Facebook they would want to buy stuff, but most of the stuff I make for my family is free. They get it for Christmas or birthdays, stuff like that. Also, then you gotta have packaging to mail out all this stuff, unless you just take it to the post office and have them figure it out right then and there, but then you're not going to know how much to have charged the person for the packaging, unless you've already done it once. So there's a lot that goes into just making art and trying to sell. almost getting to the finish line. There's only a little bit left to go. When I started painting this, I was trying to keep the paint off of the lines and keep all the paint in between the lines, and then towards the end I was like, why am I doing that? Because that's going to be indented in the mold, and I can just put paint in there at the end and you're not going to see any of that. So then I just kind of stopped doing that altogether. Now the light green's going in between on the leaves, and then I think that's the last of the painting I need to do. Now this is fully dry, and I'm about to pour my resin in. I do not remember how much I mixed up. I did put the Arteza white mica powder in there and some white pigment paste. And this is how it turned out when I demolded it. It looks pretty nice, but when you get up close, you can see a lot of stuff going on. I did get quite a few bubbles, which I don't really mind them. I don't feel like they're taking away from anything. This is the mold today. Now, on camera you can't really tell as much, but the white did yellow, but now it looks just like a cream color. And then right there is where I did not have enough paint. You can tell it just does not look great. And right there is where the resin went under the paint because it had separated from the mold. There's other spots too. Those are the only things that I would say I would have to change next time, or try to change. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna put the paint in the lines, and then we'll give it a UV top coat, and then it'll go outside. Alright, here I have some folk art gold paint, and the first thing I did was I sprayed some alcohol on the mold and wiped it with some paper towel to see if the paint was going to come off, and some of it did. So I would recommend, if you ever paint a mold like I did, to top coat seal it or use a spray sealer. Now I have this squeegee, and what I do is I just pour some paint on. I put way too much on, but I can put it right back in the bottle, and squeegee the paint around into all those little crevices, and then I get as much of the excess off as I can. Now I'm going to leave the paint to dry. Now that it's dry, I'm going to try and take some of it off. I tried with the squeegee at first, but I felt like it didn't do much, so I'm just going to go around and circular motion, go around and use some alcohol in the paper towel, and then try and get some off. Even as I kept going, I didn't put any more alcohol on because I was worried about it, one, taking off too much paint and then taking off the other colors. But I think it did a world of difference to have this gold paint in the outlines. It looks really nice now. Now I'm going to go over it with a baby wipe just to try to get some of that extra stuff off that wouldn't come off with the paper towel. And now we're gonna top coat it. We're gonna use Jade Diction, low viscosity. I closed my blinds because I don't want it to cure before I can move it around. So that's why it got a little bit darker. Squirt a bunch of that on there. I get my palette knife, I spread it around, and then cure it. Now I had some tape on my table because I have a cut in my silicone matting and it decided to stick to it and become annoying, so I had to deal with that for a minute. Now I'm waving this back and forth because I was listening to music and I was dancing with it, so that's why it was going back and forth like that. And now everything is complete. I think it turned out pretty nice. Looks a lot better than it did. Those outlines definitely need to be done to make it pop. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.